It's better than healthy.
agencies never
Okay.
ever counts and how occasionally.
How did you know? I tell by like an act. Down to your step.
I'll ask, find out and give me the answer so we know what to do.
That's very good. You were supposed to decline my questions.
Okay.
I tried to tell you that earlier. No.
Now we get a Sharpie.
I hope that he was on the Water District Board of Directors.
Just remember live mics.
Yeah, and shirt and pants and everything.
Well, I didn't want to go that far.
No. It's going so slow. It's so backwards.
Saves a very good right. Every second.
Oh, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, so Chuck,
My niece just got home. She waited 4 minutes.
you remind
We got a label, make sure.
Oh, here's a problem. Yes.
one of the criteria.
Do you have any evidence to back up that? This is,
To make it
such a thing as ever happened.
How many levels of that?
Could that, it's possible.
There you go. What's one of the
You just keep up that optimism.
You just put the two as yes, it'll be right in the middle. The youngest.
You don't like having to introduce yourself to your wife when you come home?
Yeah.
I was not looking here.
Hanging in there.
It's 6. According to the AT&T and Sprint. Almost.
So Don said you got me out of here, okay.
3 out of the 4 have been telling me.
Oh, Don did.
Oh. Well,
Either we're doing it or not.
I don't know about what the real time is. Big Ben. But Big Ben broke down though. It's not what- Oh, really? They're redoing it. 2 years. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Ron, go ahead. Ron, you're up. Everybody stand.
Let's go.
Please, follow me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess let's go means we're.
That's the same, this is called to order.
It's like giddy up.
Okay, roll call.
President Cordell,
Here.
Director Cortachado,
Here.
Director Kaczynski,
Here.
Director Ritora,
Here.
Vice President Sanamon.
Present. Posting of the agenda.
The agenda for tonight's regular board meeting was posted on Thursday, March 5th, 2020.
Thank you. Conflict of interest declarations?
Nope. No.
And no. And this portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to, microphone, desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the Board of Directors on any item not occurring on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. When you are recognized by the chairperson, please state your name and address for the record. Okay. We want to go to consent calendar, approval of the board minutes and accounts payable disbursements.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February meeting, the minutes of the workshop, and the accounts payable disbursements.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and seconded.
I have a question on the minutes, February 9th, minutes, I think. There was a sentence that said the board directed staff to present costs accrued by the district for the IWVGA at the March Finance Committee meeting. I do vaguely remember that action, but we didn't actually discuss it at the Finance Committee meeting.
What we should do is we should pull those minutes from the consent calendar, and go ahead and do the rest of the consent calendar, and then come back if you're going to ask to revise those.
Okay.
If we're going to discuss it. That would be my recommendation.
Sure.
So, okay.
So
Stan, you want
he wants to
to
pull
make a recommendation?
Pull it, I'm sorry, yes.
That's the February 10th one, regular board meeting.
February 10th, yes.
Okay. So I'll amend my motion to approve the consent calendar, not including the minutes from the 10th of February.
10th, yes. All those in favor? We need to go to this time?
You can try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then I'll be gonna call.
You changed the order of the meeting, not quite right.
Nothing going on there.
Okay.
All right. Push it.
We'll do it vocally.
Do it vocal.
Okay, vocal? Go ahead. Do we need to discuss anything on putting equipment?
Well, don't we need to resolve the issue on the minutes?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
Now we go back to the February
Go back to-
10th and go ahead and directly record it.
So there's a mistake in the minutes, is that what?
Yeah, well, it says that, well, actually, I don't think there is. I think that the issue is that we said that we were going to get a report on the accrued costs for the district for the groundwater authority at the March Finance Committee meeting, and that didn't happen. So I guess what I would suggest is we push that to April.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the minutes?
Minutes
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I'm okay with that. If everybody
Yeah,
else-
that's fine. I'm still wondering why we pulled the minutes.
Yeah. Well, the minutes, it's written as correct
Yeah.
at the time.
Okay, so the minutes are correct. Okay.
We're just gonna go back to,
Second motion.
Yeah, okay, so I move we approve the minutes from the February 10th board meeting.
I'll second that.
okay, Lauren?
President Cordell,
Yes.
Director Cordichado,
Yes.
Director Kaczynski,
Board approved variance request of Albino and Fran. Anybody have any problems with that?
I would recommend passage.
With the variance? Okay. Anybody second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions? I don't have any questions, so.
Pretty much a standard variance, I think we
Yeah.
passed.
It is, exactly.
So we want to have Lauren call it out?
President Riel,
Yes. C, Administration Executive Committee, local formation for LAFCO, the nomination description, Board to Review Committee recommendation for nominations to fill one independent special district representative position and one alternate position on Kern LAFCO's four-year term ending in 2024. Committee recommends the following. Committee made no recommendations for the nomination. Okay.
Actually, I really owe David a favor because
Okay.
there was a gentleman by the name of Pierre that put me on the LAFCO committee many, many years ago. So I should return it.
That's not a favor, technically.
Go ahead and nominate him, I'll second.
Sins of the
Well,
father.
It turns out this, with everything that's going on with the GA, LAFCO actually could be important to us. I was thinking, do we? No, I didn't, I didn't say I wanted to volunteer, but I want to make sure we all understand that it could actually be under the conditions of the GA and what might be going on in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years that and although I did look in the back and apparently they want the nomination within the next like 4 or 5 days, so there's not, the response time is, it's cutting right on us, but
Something you could
if
fill
we
out
had a
there.
volunteer, I would support anybody who wanted to volunteer.
Well, thank you, Stan.
Well, thank you for volunteering, Stan.
Yeah, I think those forms could easily be filled out at McDonald's.
I guess we don't have any recommendations on any type of committee meeting or people on that, and I know Don's thinking about being a short timer here and doesn't really have the time to go do that again, so. Anyway, that's where we're at.
For what you sat on for how long?
Might have been 4 years.
Yeah, quite a while.
How often are your meetings?
It's, gosh.
I believe they're monthly.
Monthly.
At the same meeting, monthly or bi-monthly.
Fourth Thursday, I believe, is the month.
There you go.
The next meeting's actually gonna be on a cruise ship.
I'm not asking because I'm considering it yet. I just don't know if I can do it.
I think we're gonna go ahead and move on to E then.
Recommendation?
Ron, you
No recommendations for anybody, so.
There's no guarantee that if we nominated somebody, they'd be elected.
Well, that's right. It looks like they're just looking, I mean, any one of us could fill out this application and send it in, and the way it looks. I'm
You're
not sure.
sounding interested.
Do they, yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, E, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. The report and discussion regarding the February 20th, 2020 meeting of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority, including board discussion and consideration of issues of importance requiring action by the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Next meeting is scheduled for March 19th, so do we need an update from you, Ron, on this, or what?
Well, I'll just go over what we talked about in the water management meeting. Basically, the topics that we discussed in the water management was potential fees going forward to cover costs of administrative staff, augmentation of reported water well mitigation. That's the three that have already been talked about, the GA, public types of fees that they're looking at. And we're also planning to have, I believe, the second reading of ordinance 01-20 requiring installation of meters. And I believe it was for non-de minimis users, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And of course, then further discussion would be happening about allocation of existing water rights established through the groundwater extraction report for pumping verification questionnaire. So as many people have known, that the questionnaire went out, and I believe answers are due back on the 16th. March 1st.
It was due back March 1st. As of today, I checked with Heather at Stetson, and they've received 27. I don't recall exactly the number of non-de minimis received the questionnaires. I think it's going to be over 40, but 27 have been returned so far.
That's 27 more than we had before.
You know, the GA, they're not going to allocate water rights. They don't have the authority to modify or water rights.
Right.
They do have the authority to implement an allocation pumping scheme, so.
Yeah, that's right. It says here allocation of water rights. That's misprinted, yes. It really isn't an allocation of water rights.
And was there something mentioned in there that said something about them refusing to let you into the groundwater to pump water? Also,
Where?
on that email that we got today?
Don't know.
If they don't respond, then you can take away their right to pump in the aquifer or
You
something?
can't touch their rights.
Well, it said something like that.
Referring to the extraction report, they don't follow.
Right.
They're at risk of not getting anything.
I think what it says is that if you don't file a questionnaire, you're at risk for whatever remedies are available. Let me see if I can find
Well, where did I read that at then?
Was that in Don's status report?
I think it was in Don's stuff, yeah, that I read this afternoon.
Is this on the bottom?
Yeah, because he stated it correctly. They're not allocating water rights. The allocation's based on the water rights. That's probably what you read. Let me remember it now.
Yeah, that's not all.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
There's it's under violations, Article 6. Violations of this ordinance shall be subject to the provisions of all applicable laws, including but not limited to the penalties and procedures set forth in Water Code Section 107.32, period. And then there's something about altering, but in this particular ordinance, there's nothing that says we're going to shut your water off. I think there's been prior letters that have said that in the past.
Yeah, I think of it.
But not in this ordinance.
I want to remind everybody that the probably the thing at the next meeting mostly is going to be about the adoption of the ordinance for metering. And I don't know if there's any plan. There's always going to be planned discussion in the next few months about all the costs, administration, augmented water and well mitigation. I believe we finally have a good handle on the administration cost plan, and that'll be coming forward soon as well. So there's not a lot to cover here today. I'd just say stay tuned. I think that we're going to see these costs start to roll out in the next month or two, and there will be plenty of discussion about it, I promise. And like I said, I will bring it all to this board because it affects the water district's rates. So anything to do with fees on pumping will be brought here to discuss.
Ron, could you clarify the comment regarding the location of the well in the El Paso area regarding whether it's going to be next to or close to the Skycan flight path, or be based upon, the location should be based upon priority of GSP management?
Yeah,
it just sort of went over my
Tom
head.
can fill us in on, but my belief is this, is that DWR is stepping in and saying, okay, you've made a deal about it corresponding with SkyTemp so we can verify data. They want it more to be, I would read it down as it's beneficial to GSP. And I think it was just the way it was worded. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
The wording in the wording in the email was that the DWR took more decisions scientific based. So in other words, the sustainability plan, but I think we can satisfy both of those requirements. Ideally, like I said, the purpose was to try and get a well that would fall in line with the flight path that SkyTem took, so that, there aren't as many wells out in that area to verify the data that SkyTem collects with actual geophysical logs. So they're trying to get as close as possible to a SkyTem flight line so they can verify the data, what they're seeing in the data that was collected by SkyTem.
But I guess I would go along with what, if the DWR's concern is availability of an alternate water supply down there, then we should be aligned to what is the best location for satisfying our water needs, relative to the GSP.
Well, so I think we can satisfy both.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
also be aware, DWR has interest in the SkyTem because they funded $300,000 in the project, so.
And I
Our
believe,
interest should be getting water.
yeah, and I believe that's the ultimate purpose of it as well, is to just look better at that area. And to me, even if it aligns with SkyTem, it's going to give us a better picture what that area looks like. So I think it's a win-win situation. And I think they're on the way to getting it done. It's still on schedule as far as I know for the plan.
So it's scheduled for fall of this year.
And I guess I would appreciate having a discussion on the location brought back to this organization before they commit to an actual location.
I'll bring it here. I think that I have a feeling Stetson will be making that decision in conjunction with the information we have on SkyTem. I'm not sure it's going to be I'll bring you the information. There's no doubt. I'm not sure how much we're going to
My feeling is it ought to be based upon the desires of the GA board, which you sit on, rather than Stetson. So Stetson's our engineer, and that's great, but should be based upon the board's desires.
To be fair, Stetson will be working with the TAC on this as well. So it wouldn't just be Stetson at all.
Yeah. I guess it goes without saying when these type of decisions are being made from the geological standpoints and such, that the TAC will be involved with that. In fact, they have been in the past. So yeah, I'll bring back the information as we get it.
Okay, is there any public comments on this? As we go forward here?
It's not exactly on that, but of course I believe that's certainly important to follow up on that, and I've been looking forward to hearing and getting a better feel for what SkyTem has found, and so I hope we will be looking seriously at alternative sources. Mr. Worth, I wondered if you would read back to the violation, what the consequences of violations relative to the registrations of wells. Would you read that again? As I was reading that the other day, and
I had to find it. So this is ordinance 20-01. This was from the first reading done at the February Groundwater Authority Board meeting. And with respect to violations, it says violations of this ordinance shall be subject to the provisions of all applicable laws, including but not limited to the penalties and procedures set forth in Water Code section 107.32, which is the water code that we adopted the extraction fees under.
With the lack of response, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing here, but with the lack of response from with the registration of the wells, does that apply? I mean, it doesn't seem to. It seems to be not real clear what would be the consequences
I think that would be a decision for the Groundwater Authority Board as to, you know, what types of action they'd like to see, if any, to enforce non-registration. So it would,
I don't know, but it would seem like that needs to be out there and decided upon so people can decide whether they want to risk it or not, because there's a lot of, there are people who are saying that they're not going to register their wells, and we're back to what's fair and equal. If not everybody does, there seems to be, we need, I think, some better.
we haven't there hasn't been a Groundwater Authority Board meeting since the March 1st date. So that'll be discussed and it'll be, you know, put forward. But there just hasn't been adequate time yet. It's only been 9 days and there hasn't been a Groundwater Authority Board meeting since the deadline, so.
Are you ready to, what kind of response are you getting, Don? Since the deadline?
27 have been submitted today.
Okay. Oh, I think that, okay, got it, thanks.
Thank you, Pat. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go on to F, General Manager and Staff Update.
Okay, start off with safety as we usually do, and we're at 1,882 days since the last reportable injury. And Jason was telling me, should we reach the 2,000 mark, it will be on July 4th, the 1-year anniversary of the earthquake. As far as production, meter production at the wells for the month of February, 105,230,700 gallons, 322.9 acre feet. We did report our water production to the State Water Resources Control Board on March 3rd. And again, what we report is different than the meter production at the wells. It's actual consumption plus the non-revenue water. And that amounted to 102,421,000 gallons, or 314.3 acre feet. Consumption was down 18.2% compared to February 2013, the baseline year that the state uses for comparison. And our target, the 20% conservation target, was adopted back in 2016. Didn't move at all. We're still at 22.5%. So we're meeting our goal. We also have to report residential gallons per capita per day, and that was 85.6. And I think it's higher than past years for the most part. Probably February was fairly warm, if I recall right. But the only year where it was lower, in the last 5 years was February 2018 was higher. The rest of the years, going back to 2015, were all lower. So again, kind of an anomaly. We usually track lower compared to past years, but this February is an anomaly, as I said. We had 9 new connections added during the month, and that brought in $45,612 in capital facility fees. And since the first of the fiscal year, July 1st, we've had 50 new connections, and those have contributed $228,078 in revenue. Any questions on it? So public outreach, your favorite spot on the agenda. It did go to the March 3rd Community Collaborative meeting at City Hall, and I reported that March 19th, the meeting, the Groundwater Authority would hear the second reading of Ordinance 0120, requiring metering of non-de minimis wells, and possibly hear information on fees to be adopted in support of the Groundwater Sustainability Plan, which didn't happen, but at that time, that was on the agenda. Now, I also reported that non-de minimis groundwater pumpers have been provided with a questionnaire to report their extraction information. And just, you probably didn't, I don't know if you've seen the form, but it does go back to 1937, as far back. Whatever information you have going back to that date, they ask you to report. And that, you may ask why 1937, that it's 5 years before 1942 when the base was constructed. So that's the 5-year period prior to that. I did mention the board workshop that was scheduled for March 5th. I'll publicize that. That workshop was to review the district's past efforts to identify alternate water sources, both within the basin and outside of the basin. Just a note of upcoming public outreach, the annual Home and Leisure Show is scheduled for the weekend of March 21st and 22nd at Desert Empire Fairgrounds. And we are going to have a booth there once again. Warren's been organizing it, and we should have it all covered. So we'll look forward to that again. It's always a successful event. A lot of people, last year had a really good turnout, it seemed. So we'll see how that goes. And that's it as far as public outreach. Any questions? As far as the board workshop items from January 23rd, there's 2 items, the replacement of swamp coolers and air conditioners. Last month we did have the report on the community choice aggregation by Mr. Scott O'Neill. But also, with regard to that, I did send an email to the board that I had put together back in 2015, just for information. It was at that time, there was discussion about a potential, looking for grant opportunities to equip evaporative coolers.
I think you're going back to the general plan.
Yeah, because I had a question about the general plan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The first, yeah.
Okay.
I just wonder where we are on it.
He said it was
The
Oh, the general plan?
Yeah. It's number 3, the first.
The January, the 2019 workshop.
Oh, January.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good catch.
Okay, the general plan. Sorry about that. We had a call today with Krieger Stewart to go over what we previously provided. They submitted a list of information they needed for the general plan. Some of that had been provided, but we're just touching base with them again today just to see what they still needed, what we could provide. I think we're still on track as far as go ahead.
No, I think we are. We're whittling that list down. And I think I'm going to plan to have monthly calls like that just to, keep things on track so that we know, what they're doing on their end. If there's anything more they need from us.
So that's it for the general plan. Sorry I skipped over that.
It's that time change thing, you can see everybody after a while.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, the 23rd, January 23rd board workshop, 2020. The swamp coolers, as I said, we had that little discussion on the community choice aggregation. I did send out an email, as I said, from 2015, that at that particular time, the board was wanting to look at equipping coolers that just have a bypass line, a bleed line, with a purge pump. And so we did a comparison on water savings for that. So I submitted that to the board just for your information. I hope you found that useful. Other than that, nothing else to report on about the coolers at this time.
I want to make a comment on that.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment, too,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind, Mr. President.
Well, I was going to go first.
Go for it. Go for it.
I just want to make sure that everybody completely understands that there's no requirements from the water district whatsoever. And just want to adhere to that again, because there's some people in the public think that we're going to try to get them to put in AC units instead of swamp coolers, and we're not doing that. But I'm sorry, Ron.
No, thank you, that's exactly what I was saying, because we said at the workshop as well, and make it fairly clear that the water district doesn't want to mandate anybody to change their cooling system. All we're doing is looking for ways to incentivize it if there's some kind of, I don't even know if the grants are available to help do this. So there's no way the water district can come and say you have to change it. It'd be entirely up to the individual if they want to do it. And if we ever find any funds available to assist in the capital costs, it almost operate like the cash for grasswood if we can find something. So and that's what I want to make sure that people understood.
Yeah, that's been the position of the board since the subject first came up.
Yes, it has. Yeah, we've
over
never
a year ago.
Yeah, we've never said we're going to mandate this. Yeah.
We've been quite clear about it.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Thank you. Well, 35 update.
Well, there was one other item. Senate Bill 606, Assembly Bill 1668.
Yes.
Really nothing to report on that.
That's your oil drum of water per person?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, basically.
I would note that one of the individuals that I've been working with at Aqua, Dave Boland, is retiring April 15th. So, mixed feelings about that, obviously happy for him, but worked with him quite a bit in the last couple of years, and he's been a good advocate for not only the Wells Valley Water District, but for water agencies across the state with regard to legislation. So I'm sure he's going to be missed. I'm not sure who's taking his place at this time, but definitely, I know personally I'll miss Dave.
Okay, we'll go to number 5.
All right, now
Welfare funds update.
yeah. We had a pre-construction meeting last month, on February 11th, with Pacific Hydrotech. He's the contractor for the project. Been doing a lot of submittal reviews, and we have a construction schedule. They're going to be mobilizing on March 23rd of this month, and we're having our, what do we usually call it, special species. It's the desert tortoise Mojave ground score class that they have to go through. That'll be on the 25th. And the project is still, it's scheduled for completion in October, so we'll see how things go once they get started.
Any questions on that? Anyone?
So by the next board meeting, I'll be out there working.
Okay, number 6, the post-earthquake repair. Is that you, Don, on that?
No, I'm gonna go through the list.
You're gonna do it too? Okay,
I will
for
go
it.
through the list.
Go for it.
Okay, so we have submitted several items so far. The repair of the air release valves and vacuum valve assemblies, the saddle rupture we had over on East Drummond behind Big Lots. They're still reviewing that. They came back to me asking more information because they match up the invoices with all the parts and things that are listed on there. So we've gotten all that information, and I'm just waiting to hear back on that, if that's going to be approved and sent in for reimbursement. Well, 30, we did get indication last week that, well, I guess the week before last, that we are going to be getting a check from the state for that reimbursement. It'll be a little over $90,000. So that'll be our first reimbursement for the earthquake damage stuff.
Fantastic.
Well 10, if you remember, that well was sanding badly after the earthquake, so it did get pulled. We did do some pump testing on that well. We were able to clean most of the sanding up on that. And while it was out, we had Best here with 2 S's, the SST. We had already had them scheduled to do some zonal flow testing and chemical profile testing at well 9A, which is on the same site as well 10. So since 10 was out, we thought, heck, let's do well 10 also. So we got reports back from Best on both of those wells, and neither of them really indicated that there's anything we can do to modify those wells to decrease the arsenic production in those wells, unfortunately. It's pretty ubiquitous, the whole, all the perk area, the whole well. So it would have been nice if, on well 10, they did make some suggestions, but it would have reduced the flow rate out of the well too much, so we didn't want to do that. So right now we're going to continue with getting the new equipment put back in well 10. Lane remobilized today and has started working out there, disinfecting. They'll be putting the new column tube, shaft, motor, pump, all that back in there. So once that's finished, we'll be submitting that one also to Cal OES. Let's see, I'm going to go to the gateway boosters. Krieger and Stewart's been working on that design. We had soil testing completed, potholing of existing utilities completed last week. So expect to see some kind of draft design here pretty soon, in the next few weeks or so to review. The Krieger and Stewart will be handling all the design and bidding out of that project. The seasonal booster building that needs seismic modifications to the roof. Cornerstone Engineering is working on that one. Got a work order to them for the bidding and the design, the bidding, all the engineering services. And I got a draft bid packet last week that I'm reviewing. So once that's done and the design's reviewed, we'll get that one out to bid. I'm waiting to hear back from Cal OES on the bolted steel tanks still. We have, they pretty much said they're not going to reimburse us to replace the tanks. So I've kind of stepped back and said, well, what about seismic upgrades? Can we at least get that done? So I'm waiting to hear back on that. I I bugged him again today with another email about, that. To go along with the tanks, I sent an email last week. I was thinking, well, we had those inspections done of all of our other tanks. Remember, we had divers come in and inspect all the tanks again. And I asked if that cost would be reimbursable, and they said yes. So we're going to be submitting that also. And I think that's it.
Is that it?
It's a long list, yeah.
Any questions out there? Nope. Okay, we'll go to the next one. That'll be the ADA part of the bulk water station compliance.
Yes. So staff has begun work on the new design. We have decided to move the facility to the east side of the site. This is going to allow for a wide enough driveway approach. Otherwise, we were going to be encroaching into the county road out there, and that's not going to work. And are also going to be able to install, so the screen is facing north. So hopefully the sun's shining on it, won't be an issue anymore. So the site topography was done and a rough layout's been done. We're looking probably mid-April to get the design done and then get that sent to the ADA compliance specialist for review. And once we have everything done and reviewed by the specialist, we'll have probably an evening, this time, 6 o'clock meeting to have bolt cullers come and take a look at it and if they have any questions about it. So before we start building it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, and the new internet connection out there seems to be working pretty good, which is
is
good.
it?
Yeah, we have, the connectivity was a real big issue before, and
Yes.
yeah, we've only had, I think, one hiccup now since that's been going on the last month.
That's quite an improvement.
Yeah, it's much improved.
How did you resolve the internet connectivity issue?
Well,
Refresh my memory.
there was a service we were unaware of. I guess Cosner Knife is now in the internet service and has a tower.
Suppliers, right? Very good.
Somewhere that's better, so we're checking.
Good.
We went from cellular to radio and towers at the White Star one.
There you go.
Okay. Ty?
You have a person approaching.
Oh, we have a person approaching? Come on, Sam.
Sophia Merck. I would like to thank the Water District for working so hard on the bulk water station. It means a lot to us. So thank you very much. We'll be looking forward to the design in April, and also the way it's going to face is going to be much, much better. So thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, staff. Okay, now we'll go to number 8. Todd?
Through February for the fiscal year, our revenue actuals is $7.2 million. There's about $90,000 below what we had budgeted. Most of that shortfall is just the cash for grass. We anticipated more usage. Didn't quite get it, but there's an offset on the expenditure because we didn't spend as much. For expenditures, year to date is just under $7.9 million, which is $677,000 below budget. So our actual net is about $590,000 better than our budget. So we're doing well. Capital expenditures, just under $3.7 million. And our debt service principal is about $660,000.
Any questions, anybody? Anything from the board? Okay. Go to the solar then, Ty.
Okay, for, this is also fiscal year, July through February. We had a guaranteed savings of $309,000, and our actual savings is $314,000. So we made up for that slow December, or non-sunny December.
Okay, well, that's some good news there.
Yeah.
And then AMI, is that you or Jason?
That's me.
Okay.
We have approximately 2,000 AMI registers left to install. We do have the collectors up and provisioned. We did our first billing based on the new collectors. We did about 5 routes, 500 plus meters, and about 24 came back as not picking up. Of those, we believe all of them are due to, they just don't have the antenna installed yet. So we're checking out each individual one to see if that's the case, and if not, if we can figure out what is the case. But not too bad, 24, not picking up over 500
That's
plus.
good, we're down to 2,000 meters left to install, so that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're hoping to have it done by the end of the fiscal year.
Any questions from the public on that? Okay, we'll go ahead and go to conservation.
This is based on the calendar year, so January, February, we've had 3 water waste reports received and 3 contacts made. Cash for grass, which has come to a completion. So we had 101,000 that was available. We actually have one more reimbursement that'll hit this month for a project that was completed the last week in February. So overall, 163 yards completed for a potential annual water savings of 33 acre feet.
Now we just return that.
We never received it, so.
Okay, yeah, received it. Okay.
So, yep, it just expires and the state keeps it and puts it into some other program.
Okay. SCADA system.
ATSI, which is our contractor for the new SCADA system, received all the components from Royal Electric last week. They are shipping them to us tomorrow, so we'll receive the bulk of the components here just to store. The components that are needed for the panel fabrication have been shipped to the fabricators. They begin work on them today. And the remaining components are still at ATSI. They're using the OITs, the operator interface terminals, to finish the programming and check the programming. So we are still on schedule to hopefully at the end of this month or beginning of next month to have a factory acceptance test down there.
Okay, I understand a little bit of that. Any questions?
Yeah, at the end of the month, we're going to go down and see if it's okay.
Thanks, Jason, I'm a lot smarter now. Okay, let's go to operations, Jason.
For the month of February, we had 13 repairs, 37 replacements. We turned 79 valves. The no-des truck ran 27 times for a savings of 270,635 gallons, which puts us over 6.1 million gallons total.
Fantastic. I like the 79 valves turned. Okay, any questions from the audience, public? Anybody from the board up to this date? Okay, future agenda items, board members?
No comments.
No comment. Oh, they were hiding them.
Since we didn't get in the March Finance Committee report, the outlay on the GA, let's see that in April, in the April Finance Committee.
I think we talked about that? Yeah, no problem. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn and go into closed session in 12 minutes, 13 minutes.
Well, that's a quick one.
12 or 15. Or 12 or 15 minutes. I'd like to thank the public for coming and our excellent staff. Thank you.